Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and just spreading positivity. We're all about the positivity here on the show, and I've got a very special guest with me today. He is a pro wrestler from North Carolina, and he's got a lot to talk to us about today. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Thomas Scott. Welcome, Thomas, to Wrestling with Heart.
Hey, thank you, Stanley. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So you're from North Carolina. Tell me about your upbringing and childhood.
Well, I live in North Carolina now. Most of my wrestling career has been in the Carolinas. I am originally from Middlesboro, Kentucky, a little small town.
Okay.
Grew up poor to a family that really didn't have much money, but we made it work. It's me and five brothers, and actually two more of my brothers were actually professional wrestlers also.
Ooh, interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, grew up in a church and always knew about community and trying to do what's best for community. And so I've always been very involved with the community. So,
I like to hear that, it's that family upbringing, those roots, because they are important. They help build that foundation to prepare you for your future. And so you've been heavily involved. Sounds like we'll get into more of that later in the podcast. But so you came from basically a family of professional wrestlers, your brothers.
well, no, I'm the one that got them into wrestling.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I was trained first. I was trained by Nelson Royal here in Mooresville, North Carolina. And people may not know who he is, but he was an NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion.
hmm,
He's also responsible for some people like the Maestro and one really famous guy. Oh, you guys know him, Ken Shamrock.
really?
Yes, and Jack Victory, Todd Champion. A lot of guys come from Nelson Royal.
Hmm.
So, I was trained by him and went through the hardest 6 months of my life
I'd
because
imagine.
he was very old school and it was his way or no way. And I went home with a lot of bruises, but I was 15 years old at the time.
That's young. I mean, to get
Yeah.
started like that, I mean, that just requires it's a very different kind of physical work. It's not like playing basketball or baseball or football. This is some really heavy duty stuff here. They're putting you
Oh,
through the
yeah.
ringer.
Oh, yeah. I was put through the ringer. I had to train 6 weeks on a concrete floor before I was ever able to get in the ring.
Jeez.
And then when you got in the ring, it's better to train on the concrete floor. The ring was hard as a rock. And a lot of guys said, "Oh, that's a trampoline," until you get in one.
Oh, I mean, I've heard stories of rings being made out of plywood. Those bumps that you guys take, they hurt. That's
Oh
no
yeah.
joke.
Well, Nelson's ring was made out of rough cut 2x12s and steel. It was an old boxing ring that was converted into a wrestling ring. So it was tough. And some of the charity work I do is a lot with wrestling. I do a lot of stuff to help the community. And one of the most special shows that I had was 2 years ago. I did a show. It was a back to school drive to raise backpacks and things for children in the school. It was a magnet school, and they don't get all the funding that a lot of other schools get. So I want to do it big, and all this comes out of my pocket. So I got Ricky Morton to come. I got Kerry Morton to come, and they tagged up against two of my guys that were actually really great guys, whiskey business. And then I turned around and I looked up and I had the Fantastic sitting in the audience. I had George South, I had Sam Houston. I was like, man, I got George. I mean, I have legends everywhere. Yeah, it was really cool that that I got to do something like that and get to, have these guys come out and support me was really awesome because I was like, man, I didn't, I had enough money to pay for Ricky Morton. That was about it. But all the guys, they donated their time and they just come out and sit and watch the show. And it was really cool to do something like that. And on that show, we ended up getting 75 backpacks completely full of school supplies. We raised $1,500 at the door to help the school. So I mean, it was a win.
Yeah, I mean, it's combining
People.
two of your passions like that. I mean,
Yeah,
what can be better than that? I mean, really.
exactly. That was my biggest thing is, it just done my heart. I knew that I didn't make any money, and I lost money actually because I paid for everything out of my pocket. There was a ring rental, there was, paying the guys that wrestled. Some of them, a lot of the guys just donated their money, but I was still out about $1,100 by the end of the show. But you know what? To know that 75 children will have backpacks full of school supplies, that meant a lot to me. And I mean, I've done things like during the riots here in Charlotte when George Floyd was killed. So we got to do something to bring the community back together. So there was a bar owner in Charlotte that he was closed down. He said, you know what? Come and bring your ring here. We'll do a wrestling show free. So we did that. We went and got all the kids out of the worst neighborhood and brought them out to watch a free wrestling show. And Ricky Morton was there. So, they got not a lot of people's going to get to see this WWE Hall of Famer. So, and these kids probably would never get to see a live professional wrestling match. So we made it happen. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do that a lot of people don't realize. One of the other things that we done is we had a YMCA. This has happened about 4 years ago. They were needing help getting Christmas donations. So 4 days before Christmas, I got a bunch of guys together and did this Christmas show, and the price of admission was it was a brand new toy. That was the price of admission. We raised about seven full garbage bags full of brand new toys. Well, then we found out that the YMCA at the time couldn't give them out because it was past their deadline. So me and some guys found a police officer, asked him where the poorest neighborhood in that area was, and they took us to it. So on Christmas Eve, me and 5 guys that were fully dressed in our wrestling gear walked around the neighborhoods and gave out toys to the kids in need. And to me, that was a blessing just to see their looks on their faces. These kids wasn't getting anything, but we got to give them toys. And you know what? It done all of our hearts good. I mean, I about froze to death because it was Christmas Eve and I'm in wrestling gear, you know. And I'm walking around because I felt that it was important that these kids got to see that we do things to help them. And if we could inspire one of them to do something, then maybe later on in life they'll turn around. I actually grew up in a bad neighborhood, so I knew what it was like.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up in a real bad neighborhood in Charlotte, so
Yeah,
it just
tell me about that.
well, I grew up in this neighborhood called Jackson Park in Charlotte, and it's off of West Boulevard. If a lot of guys, if there's any viewers from North Carolina, Charlotte, they know about it because it's famous for 2 cops being killed there. John Bernetti and I can't remember the other guy's name. I was in high school when it happened. I was training to be a wrestler at the time, but it was a neighborhood that was very poor. It was the ghetto, honestly. And my family was so poor we couldn't even afford an apartment. We lived in a trailer park inside of the ghetto. So
Wow.
it was really rough. And there was 3 boys and my mom and dad and a 2-bedroom trailer. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen a 2-bedroom trailer. It's got a good sized bedroom in the back, and then you got one just a little bit bigger in the middle of the trailer that's like a closet. So me and my brothers got the one that was like a closet. So it means I slept on the couch a lot. But it made me a better person because it prepared me to look back and realize what's going on in these neighborhoods and what I can do. One of the things that me and another guy's trying to do is we're trying to get it to where we can bring wrestling shows into these neighborhoods and just like section off a street and put up a wrestling show. I mean, if it keeps the kids out of trouble for a day, then we've done our job.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, you came from this real hard background, and you're trying to pay it forward to the next generation. That's very important because
Yeah.
you've seen it, you've been there, and you can understand what these kids are going through in their life.
I kind of got this crazy idea that I want to start a wrestling school for high school students. And the thing I want to do is, okay, to keep them interested, they have to make good grades. I have to see their report cards. I have to know what their grades are like. I got to know their GPA if they're interested in doing this. There's not going to be any charge as long as they keep their grades up.
Mm.
And with other things that we got, I've got a guy that's a friend of mine that makes T-shirts. He's willing to teach them how to make graphic designs and T-shirts as long as their grades are up. Then I have a commentator that's willing to teach them how to commentate. I have a cameraman that's willing to show them how to do cameraman stuff. So this is something that I'm going to be pursuing.
Those are good incentives, especially for a wrestling school like that, because I don't even think there's ones out there that do that kind of thing.
No, here's the thing. I don't want to charge anything. I want it to be completely free as long as you're making good grades and you're doing what you're supposed to in school. And I've actually thought I'm talking to some people about, because it's mainly for poor kids. And I'm trying to talk to some people about maybe making it to where they can make a lunch. And when they come in, they'll be fed. There'll be, I've got tutors and things that want to come in and tutor them to help them with their work to keep it up. I mean, I want to make a big project out of it. And, I'm hoping to get government grants to do this because, boy, that funding is going to be impossible to come up with by myself.
It's
But
huge.
yeah, and it's something that should catch on, I hope, with everything that I'm trying. Maybe one day, and hopefully it's soon. I've been having this idea for years now. So, and I have people around me that can come in and do guest stuff like Lodi. He lives in Matthews, North Carolina. I have Art Anderson appears a lot around here. Matter of fact, his son Brock is one of the nicest kids I've ever met in my life. I love that guy.
You're into so many different projects, and you seem very passionate about what you do.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so I just want to say thank you, Thomas, for coming on to the show. It means a lot to me, to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you? Are you on social media? Are you on
I am.
so
I'm
many
on
ways?
Facebook and Instagram under Pro Wrestling Savage, and that's basically it. That's and if you look up Titan Wrestling Southside on Facebook and give it a like and go in and check out some of the stuff. We've got some really cool stuff on there.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah.
I mean, go out and check us out. We love it. And also, when I get on Instagram, whenever I do something for the community, I make sure that the community knows about it. I've got a guy called Mr. Excitement. He promotes it all over his Instagram page. I promote it all over mine. Kevin Glover of Connected Radio, who's big into the community and helping the community. He posts it all over his stuff. I mean, all of us try to collaborate on a lot of things together. So we're actually, at one time we was bringing in rappers and connected radio, and then we would go and do things in people's neighborhoods and do wrestling shows, so we could just have fun.
Yeah, I mean, get so many people, different people involved, man. It helps bring people together. Unity. That's definitely something
Mm.
we need more of in this world is unity. And again, thank you again for coming on. You're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, I'd love to come back. Matter of fact, I wanted to thank you because you guys are a big part of what we do, and you guys might not think it, Oh, I'm just a simple podcaster, but without you guys, we don't have a platform to get on and tell our stories. So we thank you. It makes us feel special when guys reach out. I mean, you reached out to me. I didn't even know who you were at the time, but I checked you out, and he was a really cool guy, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'd love to do this.
Yeah, I try to do the best we can. We try to do the best we can to spread awareness, and we're going to keep on doing it.
Okay, I'm following you on YouTube, by the way, too. So,
Oh, cool.
all right,
Yes,
and
subscribe.
if you want any more guys, just let me know. I can get you some other guys that does.
Yeah, we'd be happy to.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Have a good
All right,
one.
you too. Bye.
Bye bye. This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.